into the light a little bit. That kind of works. Okay. Howdy. I forgot my, but don't matter. We're on the set of Robotech Meets the Transformers. It has begun. A few test shots of the opening scene pulls us into the movie. I'm gonna watch it, the dailies. So we've learned a little more about the Macross saga vicariously through some reviewers online. They did an extensive review of the Macross 2012 flashback episode, and apparently, in that story, it's not the SDF-3 that gets lost; it's the SDF-2. It's the Mega Road. The SDF-2, Mega Road 2 gets lost. It's called the Mega Road or the Macross, the ship. It's the SDF-2, not the SDF-3. So the scene where they fight Chiron at the end of Macross, the Macross section, in the Japanese, they then went on canonically in this sort of OVA sequel, Macross Flashback. They went on to go into space afterward and were lost. So they're actually taking off of the American one, which had no ending in the third part of Robotech. And they're saying, like, oh yeah, that kind of happened in our version, but earlier, in like 2012 instead. It doesn't work in the American one because that's not what happened. They built the SDF-3, they're going to go to the stars, it's different, and the expedition is different, the ship's lost. In the Macross series, they begin colonizing other planets, sending out other SDF ships, other mega roads, and other Macrosses, and the Macross 3 and 4 settle the planet Eden from Macross Plus, and then they go on, and the Macross 7 under Max Sterling or Max Genius goes out and meets the vampire aliens after the Spiritua, not the Vaja, that's in the second one. What do they call them? The Proto-Devlins. The Proto-Devlins meets them. They fight them. The Macross is part of this million-person ship thing, and it's connected. Mainly Zentradi, I guess, a million of them. So yeah, they have this, and then in Macross 2 was some of the other animators went and did their own thing. It's supposed to be 80 years later. It's not connected. It's not canon in either universe. It's its own thing. So Macross 2, yeah, with the Marduk and the Eliminators is different. It's where the Zentradi Meltrandi spin-off where they sing. And they stopped the SDF guns. It didn't. The creators of the show did not consider that canon, even though some of them produced it. So then you come to the American series, which was Robotech, where they took Macross and two unrelated series. They took the second one of Space Cavalry Southern Cross, and they took Space Climber Matsupedia, the new generation, used that. The Legis Robo one, the Scott Bernard and the Invid. So the original one, was originally Southern Cross took place on a Mars-like planet with 2 moons, and it was somebody else. It wasn't Dana Sterling. It was somebody else, and there had no connection to the other one. There was a 4th series called Super Dimension Orgus. Probably heard of that one. With these little battle walker things, and elements of Orgus were included kind of in Southern Cavalry, but kind of not. They didn't end up translating that to the U.S. I've seen some of it, and it fits in the Southern Cross timeline. So what they did is when they did Megazone 23, and tried to adapt part of it, they decided to combine it with footage from that and from they wanted to create Robotech the movie, and that didn't work so well. The website is wrong on that one. It says that it only aired in Texas. It did not only air in Texas, because I saw it in a theater. So my friend and I saw it in a theater. It did air in San Jose as well, not just Texas. It aired in San Jose in the 80s, and we went and saw it. And yeah, it was a premiere. We saw it, and I remember seeing it in the theater and going, "What is this? What, Southern Cross and thing?" And then there was like a Southern Cross thing, and then the Invid invasion thing. The other one, the Invid invasion or space climber Matsupita, had a it was so they went on with space climber Matsupita and the American one, and we have the expedition force comes back to Earth to liberate the Earth. That was not the original story. The original story didn't have Rick Hunter's expeditionary force at all because it was a completely different series. They just redubbed everything and said, "Oh no, this is Scott Bernard Mars section and Jupiter section, and they're going to go there and they're going to liberate the Earth from the Invid." The original version, not the case. And a lot of the scenes were changed around. We don't need to go into all the details of how that worked. Wolf was different. The cowboy revenge story was different. It's more of a samurai story in their version. The ending is different. There's no search for Rick Hunter at the end because Rick Hunter's not in it. When Jupiter's section is wiped out and the Invid wipe out Bernhard at the end, that's it. They're gone. And Scott Bernard is just going back to Mars. Now, since then those stories, we don't have those anymore. All the DVDs are gone. But when we did, we were able to do look back and check for the facts. Now you're just gonna have to look it up. But our stuff is still around online and elsewhere. So we have So this Macross flashback was done, I think, in '88 or '89 or something. It was later on. So they went back and did that, and they did an OVA called Macross Zero as well, which is canon with it's a prequel sort of. It's weird. And then you have Macross 7 that I mentioned, and you have Frontier, which came out a few years later. And in Macross Frontier, you have different singing people, and they're going after mysterious things. There's the Vaija, and there's a virus. I think it's a virus is attacking them. That one, yeah, space virus kind of thing, computer virus kind of thing, alien, Independence Day, but in space, but with singing people and singing stars. It's kind of connected to Macross Plus, which came out earlier because it kind of has. This AI is doing the virus. Yeah. Also, yeah, Top Gun kind of ripped off Robotech with the Tomcats and all that. They came later in '86, so Robotech was already here. So Macross was '83, and then it came here. Robotech is '85, '86, so a little bit before Top Gun. They were not aware of Top Gun. It's just like but yeah. Now there's a new one, and then there's Macross Delta. Which is more about them finally going out and trying to find out what happened to the mysterious Miss M, who could be it's supposed to be Min-May. It's Min-May. They keep guessing. Oh, is it Lisa Hayashi and Lisa Hayes? No, it's Min-May. It's supposed to be Min-May. That's who it's supposed to be. No. And there was a movie version. They did a movie of that too. But back in the '80s, the Japanese saw the cheesy Robotech movie thing, and they were all, "Oh, we can do a Macross movie that's better than the American one." So not long after that, they came out with Macross Do You Remember Love, which was an OVA of the original Macross, and it is sort of like reinvented as a propaganda film for the other story. It was actually reprinted as a propaganda film. And that's where they got the idea for Macross Flashback as well. They could say, okay, this is when that aired. It aired in 2030, but we're looking back to 2012. It aired during the events of Macross Plus. Okay. Macross 7 is, it's all complicated. 2046. Macross Frontier is 2060, I think, somewhere around there. That's quite a bit later. It's on the SDF 12 or something. Macross Frontier. Delta is on the SDF way off. It's the SDF like 15 or something. I think that's what it is. It's one of those later ships. And the movie version, they did an OVA of that one too. They did 2 movies of Delta. We saw the 2018 one. That again is messed up in the wiki because they said, oh, it only aired in certain places in the U.S. and they didn't mention all the places the movie aired. Crunchyroll put on a version of it at Fanime back in, I think, 2017. I think that's when it was, when we watched that. So yeah, that was the one where they raised the stakes to the point that they had, you figure at the end, well, how are they gonna like top the, Macross Frontier thing with the singers blowing up the galaxy thing and destroying the vampires and whatever. Well, and galaxy spanning bad guys. You have 2 SDF fortresses fight each other. So that's what they did in the movie. So actually these 2 Macrosses are like shooting at each other. They're like going at it like kaiju, like giant, huge, miles tall kaiju, like fight each other. Yeah, that's what you do. Yeah, that's what you do. You have to do. Yeah. So there's your brief history of Robotech. Yeah, and other things. The ship model back there we started building that right around when the scripts were being written in the fall of last year. Putting that together, pieces together and stuff, up until February, I think, or something like that. Somewhere around there. It kept getting larger. We wanted to like do the whole psych thing, like they panned from the old one from the G1 animated fan films, or the ones that we did, and to the bigger one right next to it. Like, oh shit, no, they're gonna show that ship. Oh no, wait. Oh no, wait. Oh my goodness. Oh. But yes, it's heavy. I think it weighs about 20 pounds. It seems like it, 15, 20 pounds. You can't use balsa anymore, so it's made out of like basswood and stuff, basswood and other stuff, light pines and things. The superstructure is basswood balsa. There's the double superstructures inside. I still wouldn't want to drop it. Just it'd be bad. It got moved and the piece did break off, but we were able to find the piece and glue it back on. But yes, it almost dropped again. But yeah, so we have this ship. The front end part of it is similar to the Mega Roto 2, pays homage to it, and the SDF-3 from the Sentinels movie. The Sentinels movie was in 1987, and it was direct to video. I don't think they made any theatrical releases at our local art house theater. I don't think it came out over there. Do you remember Love did? So did Attack of the Bionoids, the other version. But I don't think they released that one here. No, I think they did Macross Plus once. It was cool. But yeah, I don't think they had permission. I think they just aired it. They said, hey, you want to watch Macross Plus? We're going to play it. We've got a copy of it. But I can't be certain of that. Maybe they had permission. Yeah. So last year, Harmony Gold finally said, all right, we don't any longer want a moratorium on the copyrights of releasing Macross stuff in the U.S. anymore. It's been 35 years. Why are we holding on to this when we're never going to do another one? But first, let's backtrack to, so they're not going to, so they're releasing some of them here. Anymore. So we can do ours too, but that's okay, because, yeah. But yeah, they attempted to do a legitimate Robotech spinoff in 2006. It was called, they did, the Shadow Chronicles. And of course our Transtech, the Transformers meets Robotech from the 2000s, was on video and then DVD first, and then YouTube. It still is. And 2 versions of it, the shorter version and the long blog version. You can watch the 24 episodes, or you can watch the 3 hour movies as 3 hour movies. You can watch either or for free. I also can watch Space Bridge, Return of the Shadows, the Shadow Children, and all that. All the spin-offs of that. And of course, all Transformers Mush, and lexicons of this, and yeah. So all that. We took the lexicons and Mush scripts and used them, Transformers scripts that other people wrote in the blogs, and fan scripts, the best ones we could find, and we used them. Yeah, so we don't have any say in what they're about. We just use the script, so they get a byline if they have something to do with this one. They tried this Shadow Chronicles thing, and then they promised more of them, and they never did anymore. They did Love Live Alive in 2013, and the fans were annoyed because it wasn't a new one. It was just an OVA that they had taken from an 80s OVA called Love Live Alive, and they added new footage and said, "Oh yeah, it was set during the Master Saga," and it was kind of dumb. Yeah, and it ended with them suggesting that Lancer and Zero were going to have a baby. You don't put a baby in there. No, and that's impossible. Zera's an alien. She's an invid from space. Unless she grew it in a pod somehow, that's not possible. They never said the invid were humans. They were emulating humans, but they didn't have. Yeah, that would not genetically work at all. The other story ignored it entirely. So yeah, they're going to go look for Rick Hunter again because in that timeline it doesn't work. Well, in Trans-Tech it does work because in Trans-Tech the SDF-3 disappeared a couple times through the years on its way to other planets during the Sentinels saga. And the Sentinels books were written, Jack McKinney books. He was a pseudonym for these two other guys. And they wrote the Sentinels books. And we adapted The End of the Circle as The Endless Circle. Did a 90-minute Endless Circle movie after Trans-Tech. I said, we're going to do that. And then we did Space Bridge. We did the other stuff. Bioship Mystery and all that. Yeah, so we did fan film versions of it because we brought Rick Hunter home at the end of Trans-Tech, and we continued the saga that Tommy Weune and those guys did not want to continue. So we continued on our fan films. And yeah, so we continue it again. We're going to give you, this is going to be a long roundabout story. This is going to be the Sentinels. So, but because, the caveat is that because Space Bridge happened, and the Transformers interfered with the Robotech timeline from even starting in that timeline, and things moved ahead and some things moved back, because they interfered with the 2018 of the timeline, the Invid Queen showed up and all that, and Shadow Children. This timeline is slightly different than that of Robotech. This is yeah, it's not Robotech 2, it's not bad. We took all Transformers Mush stories from Lexicon's stories that were rejected from the Lexicon's first season, but we thought the stories fit better somewhere else. The stories had space plagues and space aliens and a space gang going out and doing stuff in a town and a potboiler cop and all that. So we're like, we could do Sentinels. That thus began. We thought these stories are close enough to the McKinney stories. These guys were clearly aware of them, or at least aware of something like them. So it was all like, why can't we just we can't use the McKinney stories, obviously. Our version of The End of the Circle was very different. This would be 2. And we said, well, let's do 3 movies. Let's do 3 miniseries movies. Let's do one that has the SDF-3. The SDF-3 was going to go to Tyrol in 2025. And let's have it go to Hadon in the second movie. And go to the Hadon system, because that was a major plot point in the books. And let's have it go to the Invidoptera in the third one. And close the series. Give the fans Robotech Sentinels that they never got. The Robotech OVAs, they're OVAs of what the Sentinels would have been if they kept going and they made 65 episodes and then made OVAs of them. So we're going to do that. So our OVAs of the Sentinels are sort of like love letter to the Sentinels. Now, of course, we can't really do effects like, as you can see from the dailies here. I'm sure by the time this becomes part of the making of, as you can tell, it's a fan film, and there's a writer's strike and an actor strike going on right now. Yeah. And so, so yeah, we're not in the WJA, and we're not in the Writers Guild of America, and we're not in the Screen Actors Guild either. So we can do our film while this is going on. It's already written. So we're going to do it. So we're going to put this together. And it may be the only original new Robotech Macross fan film to come out in 2023. So, the only one. They've released some figures. This other company released some Alpha Fighter figures, but we're not going to buy those. No, we got OG Veritex Jetfires. Yeah, our group was one of the. There was a guy called TG Omega, and there were other people too, but this guy had mentioned it. There's a guy in the early 2000s. He was picking up all the Jetfires on eBay, all of them, and just picking up. If you said he'd bid on a Jetfire, it's gone. He just bought it. And he has all these Jetfires everywhere, and that's the most popular video of the Jetfire review of other Jetfires. Jetfire guy. It's Cal Cat. It was us. I was Transcarno, and it was at Emicon, and he was all like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get all the Jetfire. I'm gonna get all the Skyfires I can find because they were all flawed. The '84 one had a bad backpack, and the '85 one had a bad shoulder. So we got like 40 or 42 of them or something like that, and we took them all, and we rebuilt them as 20-some good ones. So, rebuilt them. We never had the Super Ostrich. We had this tiny one. We got the tiniest Super Ostrich, which we gave up later. But we never had... so we painted one to look like the Super Ostrich. And we painted one to look like the Island Seeker. And we painted the other ones, and there were some fans that were like freaked out. Like, oh my god, you painted your Jetfires. Why would you do that? Oh. It's like, well, they're mine. I bought them, and they were yellowed, so they aren't good. They're just there. As you can tell from Endless Circle and the other stories, those robot toys are barely standing up on their own, but they still exist. We did have one of those Masterpiece Veritex, a Rook one. It broke during the Battle for Aptera scene in, I believe, it broke in that Battle for, what was that episode? It was Shadow Children, probably. Yeah, Shadow Children. They show the Aptera battle in that one. This one's going to be different. It's different because the Transformers are involved. But that one, the Aptera battle, it's a flashback. Miria's ship breaks and the leg snaps off because that's what happened to the figure. And I was watching this thing today about the Masterpiece Veritex versus the newer ones that have come out. And they said that they have a design flaw in the shoulder and the leg. And if you transform them enough, they just snap right off. And you're stuck with a shoulder or a leg in your hand. Great. Just great. Yeah. That's not good. The irony is that the two blue Legos Robos from Korea, that they're pretty banged up that I have from years ago, they didn't break. There's like one broken wing on one of them. One of the heads, I think the head's missing on one of them. But the other one's fine. I'm not going to use it in the movie, but it's fine. What? So yeah, I think the cowboy accent's going all over the place, but that's okay. So there is a version of the Japanese continuity where they decided Rick and Lisa and Min-May were lost in space. There is, but it's not connected to the invasion. It's just they get lost in space. But apparently the ship comes back with the Min-May and the computer in Delta, Macross Delta. So the ship comes back. It remembers Min-May. It recorded her voice or something. So even they didn't bring them back. So we're going to bring them back. Yeah, they'll get back. But yeah, so that big caveat is the scene in the end of Shared Hallucinations when they jump to 2050 and they show the Robotech people standing around and they have children and they're making snarky comments and whatever. One of them's trans, and they go on about the snarky Dana and stuff. Is it that story in 2050 canon with this? Were we actually seeing the future of this 2025 story 25 years later? Yes. Yes, it's canon. So that story is going to happen eventually, but it hasn't happened yet. We're not going to get there, though. I think these two stories are going to be the Sentinels 3-part thing. It's just for the Sentinels, So if we do a Beyond the Sentinels story at some point, it would have to be an original work, not just Cal Cat rewriting these Mush stories to make them Robotech. It would have to be something original. And that would be harder to do. So after this, we are going on to do Starship Locations and Destinations, the final season of that. Not because of the writer's strike. Doesn't have anything to do with that. We just wrote a final season and decided to write a final season. So we wrote that in February. In February through June, I think, something like that. February through May, I think. But so it was during the writer's strike. Just before it. But we weren't WGA, so it didn't matter. And so, we want to do that first. We'll see if there's future Robotech or not. We're interested in it. I don't think Harmony Gold is going to sell to Sony and do a Robotech movie. I think at this point, even now, it would be really tough for them to do that. They would probably get A-list actors that don't make sense as the characters, like 10 years ago when they were like, Tobey Maguire could totally be Rick Hunter. No, he can't. No. No. If you're going to do a Robotech movie, you've got to do it can't do it like Ghost in the Shell and cast Scarlett Johansson as the ghost. No. The agent. No. The movie was okay, but it was not the original. You can't do that. You can't cast a white guy as Kaneda in an Akira movie, for instance. Keanu Reeves wanted to do that. No, don't even try to do Akira. Don't try to do Akira. No, it's gonna suck. But no, Robotech. The whole cast has to be Japanese. It's the only way it works. The only ones that would be Roy Fokker, his stepbrother, and Claudia Grant, his the girlfriend of Roy Fokker. She wouldn't be either. She could be. They could get that new girl to play her. She'd be tall though, so it wouldn't be her. There's any number of actors they could get for that. Rick Hunter's got to be a Japanese guy, a Japanese actor. Min-May's got to be a Japanese actor. Don't get Awkwafina. She's Korean. That's not going to work. Her voice is not Min-May. It's fine, but it's not Min-May. No, you got to get somebody that really knows how to sing, a K-pop star or something. It's got to be able to sing. It's not going to work otherwise. You can't just fudge that. Not going to work. Korean and something else, I think she is. But not Aqua. I know they're probably thinking that. Oh, we're going to get on. No, don't do that. This series actually doesn't have a Min-May in it. I'm assuming she's on the ship somewhere. I'm not sure if she has any cameos in the story yet or not. I just didn't think, since Seven and Frontier and Delta, and 2, all of them, and all the other ones dealt with the pop star thing. I decided that, especially 7, that I didn't want to do that in this version. I thought it was more interesting to have the story be similar to the T.L. Aaron stories that he was developing for Lexicons, the Mush thing. Or T.L. Aaron's was he was obsessed about, or the character in the story was obsessed about this girl. There's gangs running around. He wanted to do the whole gang thing and like a gang drug thing, and kind of a weird noir, dark city type of Robotech story thing. It was more Robotech than Transformers, and he put Robotech people in it, but they were Transformers. So we put Transformers in it, but they were acting like Robotech people. So I was like, why don't I just tweak that? And they are Transformers and Robotech people. All right, that'll be my story. In parts 2 and 3 of this series, mainly. Part 1 introduces everybody, takes us to Tyrol, the moon of Phantoma in the Valkyrie system, and clarifies where that is. the Valverde system. They were always saying the Army of the Southern Cross and all that, and down in the Southern Cross, because that sounded cool. But I don't think they originally meant that the planet was in the Southern Cross. It's in the direction of the Centaurus area. Just so happens that Alpha Centauri and Proxima are the closest star to the Earth. And in the books, at least, they said, oh, Phantoma is in the Centaurus system. It would have to be. That'd have to be where that is. And maybe, yeah, it's over there. So, as for the Invid planet and the other Hadon planet, they're in different places. But yeah, but I think the Centauri, and then maybe Barnard is kind of Hadon's planet, Barnard's star. Maybe Sirius is the last one. They're probably not Sirius. There's something close by. They're not that far off. Otherwise, they would never get home. And their superliminal drive thing. Yeah, years may be passing on Earth, but several months for them. I think it's days, but it's months. So yeah, which they discovered, which is consistent with the books. So yeah, each planet they go to, and they only go to a new planet each movie, so to make it easier to follow, because you want to tell a story that's going. Yeah, so a whole lot to unpack there. But now I can unpack some of it because we're going to do it. And at least start it out here. We can, because we're not in the Screen Actors Guild. It's already written, so but I wrote it, so, it's like... I didn't write, I wrote like a third of it. Other people from lexicons contributed, well, not directly, but we took lexicon's story ideas that were cool, that seemed like Robotech, and included them, or Transformers, and included them in the story with a wraparound, the Cal-Cat wraparound, to make them fit. So they have been rewritten, but they will have credits. They have names like Roy and Dwayne M. and Aaron's, but they're not the original Aaron's stories, in that I took out almost all the violence, because we can't film that for YouTube. It's not kind of cool. PG-13, probably most likely. There's a little bit of endangerment of the characters, otherwise there would be nothing. But they're plastic, so don't worry about it, YouTube. And yeah, so there's enough of it in there. We were just impressed with T.L. Aaron's short story that we included in one episode of The Mush earlier, and wanted some of his other wit and twisted characters in this one. Some of his characters are in this one, like Tolomsky and the psychic lady, Bien's, or Jameson. So there's like this goofy stuff in here. But he didn't actually think of that, though. That idea is basically that TV show from like 20 years ago, the analyst or whatever the heck it was, with the cop and the psychic cop. Yeah, the mentalist or something. Yeah, so that's been done like at least twice. So it's not like he thought of, ooh, the cop knows a fake psychic. It's like, they've been doing that for like years. and that's just the newest version of that show. I think they've been doing something like that for like probably since the days of radio. Like, oh yeah, just bring this guy who knows stuff and solve the case. And that's not something he thought of. He just had a different spin on it. And he didn't think of like biker gangs and Dana Sterling either. He didn't think of biker gangs. That was around since before. So. The space biker gang, or robot biker gangs, kind of cool. Robot doppelganger biker gangs, sort of a They Live kind of thing going on. Again, he didn't think of that movie. That was he didn't think of that. But yeah, the idea that the Transformers effectively changed everything, and that the space plague from all Transformers mush also changed things in the Robotech universe to affect the Invid and the Zentradi and how they behave and how the Masters behave. Because otherwise, it would be a slaughter, and the SDF-3 would immediately get destroyed. Because again, Min May's not there. Just say, where is she? It's not a mystery in this story I just didn't. I didn't include the singing. I thought that it would detract from it. I wanted to tell the story. There's a little bit of singing though. I think that Regis sings at one point. This is kind of cool. Which is connected to Macross Delta and Macross 7 a little bit. Yeah. There's a little bit of that in there. And yes, there is an homage to 7. Because and there's an homage to the other two as well, Aurora and Athena, and I believe that Mia shows up at one point. But yeah, I think so. But all the Sterling kids, and of course we'll see. Half of this stuff is probably not going to happen, so don't take it verbatim. Whatever happens from the first movie, see what happens. But yeah, would like to finish all 3. So we have Space Kings. Yeah, we don't have permission to use them, but we're using them anyway. But we're not getting paid. And they're not getting paid. Nobody's getting paid. And we're not going to sell this. It's just going to go up online and you won't watch it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got. That's pretty much it. Long diatribe on the making of, and I probably went over some stuff I already did. But yeah, there's the ship. There it is back there. I'm going to leave it in here and watch the dailies. Probably not going to be a problem. But yeah, I'm in here for now. Oh, space aliens. Centrati. Yeah, so the Centrati were affected, and the Invid were affected too, by the space plague. A space plague of unknown origin. And the humans were. So they were in quarantine for a while. Sounds familiar. So yeah, they were affected, so things have changed. And there was a jump off point. That evens the story a little bit more, so it's not just that Rick Hunter and his forces would get utterly slaughtered by the Invid, because why wouldn't they? It's more like, no, wait, it's kind of messed with them. All right, cool.